Happening now at 5:31, police and firefighters are still out where a historic building in downtown Albuquerque went up in flames. This is video that we just got in. It's from Gold and 2nd Street. That intersection is still closed this morning. Yesterday afternoon, as we've been telling you, flames ripped through the National Institute of Flamenco. Now, firefighters were there within minutes, but it was really no use. That building was already engulfed, so crews went defensive to keep that fire from spreading, which they were successful in doing. The Institute's director and about 10 other people were inside when this massive fire started. They were able to get out okay. Investigators are still trying to figure out exactly what started that fire. We'll have more details for you coming up in about a half hour and anytime at our website, krqe.com.
Our other top story this morning, there is a move by state Democratic leaders to oust New Mexico's education boss, Hannah Scandera.
And they want to do it by making her job disappear. State Senator Michael Padilla has introduced a constitutional amendment that would eliminate the position of state education secretary. That job would be replaced by a state education superintendent who would be appointed by the state school board. Now, this is not a new idea. It's essentially how things were done here in New Mexico before voters approved the education department secretary as a cabinet position. That was back in 2003.
I don't see why we would take 20 steps backwards and get a school board once again when the people have already spoken when they had the opportunity to do so.
When one governor comes into office and then we change the rules for them the next time a governor comes in office.
So what Senator Padilla is proposing is a constitutional amendment so that would not need the governor's approval. If this bill were to pass the chambers in the legislative session that begins next month, it would directly go to the voters in the next statewide election. Well, the results are in, so exactly how well is APS doing when you compare it to other larger urban cities and school districts across the country? Well, it turns out better than half of them. That's according to the Trial Urban District Assessment, or TUDA. It's a national standardized math and reading test that's given to 4th and 8th graders.
We got to look at ourselves and see how we compare to Miami and San Diego and Houston, who have maybe similar demographics that we have with poverty and non-English speaking kids.
Superintendent Winston Brooks there says the results are good news. Also, as an economic development tool, and they'll help change the perception that Albuquerque and schools here perform at a low level. Well, a trip to see a friend down in Mexico ends horribly for one woman who is from here in New Mexico.
Yeah, while returning home to the U.S., she says she was strip searched, and that was not the worst of it. The ACLU in New Mexico and Texas filed a lawsuit yesterday claiming the 54-year-old woman from Lovington was, quote, brutally probed last year. Now, according to the lawsuit, a drug dog jumped on her at the El Paso crossing area. Well, she was then taken to a hospital in El Paso where doctors performed a cavity search or two.
She was not carrying drugs. She wasn't doing anything wrong. She's totally innocent, and all of these incredibly horrible, invasive things happened to her.
Court documents say no evidence of drugs was ever found. The woman is now suing U.S. Customs and Border Protection and the hospital. Homeland Security says it will fully cooperate in the investigation. A Carrizozo police officer is under investigation for tasing a guy who wandered onto a football field during a recent game. Now, the man wasn't following orders, according to the cop. Some people, however, say that the cop went too far, zapping the guy with a taser twice. It happened last Saturday during a game between Tularosa and Carrizozo. Check out this cell phone video here. Eddie Netterstadt, a fan, appeared to take a swing at the officer, Mike Brasino. The fan tries to run, but the cop pushes him down to tase him. And as fans watch, the cop then tases him a second time. The police chief claims the officer tased the man a second time because the first jolt wasn't effective enough and because the man refused to put his hands behind his back. But witnesses say otherwise.
Put your hands behind your back. I got my arm. Put your hands behind your back. I can't, sir. I can't. Let me go and I will. Let me go and I will.
With the police officer on your back, it's kind of hard to get your arm out from underneath you to your back, especially if they're tangled in taser cords.
Well, the police chief says he is still investigating. We have learned that the man who was arrested was later released. And get this, police say he started calling and harassing the officer's girlfriend a few days later, so they rearrested him.
A mailman in Santa Fe did more than his job of delivering the mail. He also turned into a crime fighter. spotted a strange car and a man in a driveway while he was out on his regular route. So he jotted down the license plate number. He ended up going back to the home later that day. It's when he realized that his hunch was right. Yeah, the house had been broken into. So he called police, gave him the license plate number, and within minutes, they arrested Lucas Garcia and Gloria Gurule. And the homeowner couldn't be more thankful for what that mail carrier did.
They're interacting with the houses every day, so absolutely. They should get to know them as much as they can. They should tip them well at the holidays, yeah, they should thank them for the hard work that they do.
Got a feeling that letter carrier is going to get a big tip this year. Detectives say Lucas Garcia admitted to breaking into the home to support his heroin habits.
You go, Mr. Mailman.